Hello, everyone, and welcome to Colorado State University's RamChat. We are very excited that you all are joining us today. My name is Bailey, and I will introduce myself in a little bit. But first of all, we want to let you know how you can submit your questions. So you can go to our website, admissions.colostate.edu/RamChat to submit a question, or you can also use all of our forms of social media with the hashtag RamChat. If you submit questions, we'll do our best to answer them all this evening, but if we run out of time or we don't get to your question, please don't worry, we will try to answer you in the next few days. And if you would like a direct response, please remember to give us your email address and we'll get right back to you as soon as we can. So tonight's RamChat is going to focus on our CSU experience, and we are going to hear from 6 current students. They are current admission ambassadors in the Office of Admissions, and they are super excited to share their stories with you about why they chose CSU and also why they choose to stay here at CSU for their college degrees. So we will introduce them in a little bit. I would like to start first with myself. So again, my name is Bailey, and I am actually a current graduate student here on campus, and I'm also a CSU alum. So how I got to CSU was I was actually an out-of-state student from northern Illinois, a small town called Stillman Valley. It's about 90 miles west of Chicago. And when I was looking at schools out of high school, I was super excited about what Colorado could offer. And so I started looking at CSU, and I came out and did a campus tour and just fell in love with the campus. Had a little bit of everything. I was looking for a bigger school, but since I come from a small town, I also wanted to feel like I had a small sense of community and that I could meet people, and that since I was moving far away from home, I wanted to feel like people would kind of take care of me and I could find a group of friends. So that's what I found here at CSU. It's a big school with a small town feel, is what I like to say, and it also is right at the foot of the Rocky Mountains. It has a great town, Fort Collins, and it just had everything to offer that I wanted in a school. So I graduated in 2012 with a degree in communication studies and a minor in peace and reconciliation. And then after I graduated, I decided I really love CSU, so I want to stay here and kind of give back to the university. So I worked in the Office of Admissions as an admission counselor full-time, and then finally I decided I love school and I want to go back. So now I'm pursuing my master's degree in student affairs and higher education, which basically means I love working for a campus and I love working with college students, and so that's what I want to do for my full-time career. So that's a little bit about me, and now we would like you to meet our admission ambassadors. Again, they are all current students. So let's start with Sarah and Caleb.
Hey everyone, how's it going? So I guess I'll start since I was volunteered by Sarah. My name is Caleb. I am a sophomore here at CSU currently. I'm originally from Littleton, Colorado, which is like an hour and a half south of a drive of Fort Collins. I'm majoring in history with a double major in liberal arts and a minor in philosophy, and pursuing a certificate in sign language. So lots of stuff in the liberal arts area. So if you have questions around that, then feel free to ask me. And then I love being a CSU Ram. Like I said, I'm a sophomore here, so I'm in my 3rd semester currently, and it's just been the time of my life so far. So I think I'll pass on to Sarah with that.
Cool. Hi everyone. My name is Sarah. I am a senior studying design and merchandising and getting minors in business and Spanish. I'm from Austin, Texas, so an out-of-state student, which has been just the best adventure ever. I kind of came to CSU kind of randomly. I had never been to Colorado before, and I actually came to come and look at CU Boulder, because at the time I thought I wanted to go into marketing. And so we had an extra day after our tour at CU, and so my mom mentioned, hey, why don't we go up to CSU and kind of explore that? And at the time, I didn't even know that CSU existed, so that was kind of fun. And so I ended up looking at CSU, finding the design and merchandising program here, looking at a lot of different schools all over the country, East Coast, West Coast, North, South. And really, I ended up coming to CSU because of the community that kind of Bailey touched on as well. Everyone was really friendly. I communicated with a lot of people throughout my college search that just seemed really invested in my well-being, no matter where I ended up going to school, and that's kind of why I came here. I knew I would be supported in everything that I did.
Yeah, so my CSU story, since we got into that right away, it's a little bit different than Sarah's. So when I was looking for colleges, I didn't want to come to CSU at all. I've grown up in Colorado my entire life, in Littleton, that area, same area, my whole life. And so all 18 years I spent in the same place. I'm also a first-generation student. So when I was going through the college admissions process, I was looking for schools that were all out of state and all really far away. To give you an example, my top choices were in New York. And I ended up coming to CSU because that was the financial decision that worked for my family. And so I came here because I had to, if I'm being completely honest. But the reason I stayed it's all tied into that community aspect that Sarah and Bailey were both mentioning. But I learned a very important lesson, I think, and that's why I really stayed here, was I learned that really any experience you have in your life is what you make of it, and the attitude that you walk into that experience with are very important. And so over the last year and a half that I've spent here at CSU, I've learned that my attitude and the positivity that I take into something can really make an experience what it is, and it's made all the difference here. And I've absolutely loved being here at CSU despite not wanting to come here to begin with. And the people that I've met have really helped me keep that positive attitude, and the programs that I've gotten involved with and the programs that I've gotten involved with, it's all been absolutely incredible. And so that attitude that I brought into CSU is really what kept me here.
And now if Matt and Danny, would you like to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your CSU story?
Cool. I'll go ahead and start. My name is Danny. I'm a junior here at CSU. I'm a biomedical science major, and I was actually born and raised here in Fort Collins, so I've lived here 20 years. My story with CSU is kind of complicated, I guess. So when I was looking for schools, I come from a really big family. I'm 10 of 12 cousins on one side of my family, and I'll be the third to graduate college. Both my parents went to college, but they waited until they had me and my brother. So when I was looking for schools, I had a lot of people telling me I shouldn't go to CSU because I was born and raised here and I wouldn't have any new experiences. So I was just really confused, and then part of me didn't even want to go to college at all and take a break like a lot of my family did. But I talked to my family about that, and they said, you probably shouldn't do that because you want to go to college, you just don't really know where you want to go right now, which isn't really a reason to not go at all. So I toured a lot of schools in California because California school has beaches and stuff, so why not? And then I toured those schools and I realized I didn't really fit in there. And I came back to Fort Collins and I realized I really want to go to CSU. I've been going to games since I was 6 years old. So CSU is definitely where I wanted to be. And so even though some people in my life were telling me that I shouldn't do it, I decided to do it anyway. And I was so right in that decision. The people I've met here are incredible. They really, really care about you. I always give this example of trying out for the softball team here, and a weekend something happened in my family that wasn't really awesome, and every single girl on that team was asking me how it was, if they could do anything for me, and I'd only known them for a week. So to say that about people that don't really know you, that they're concerned about your well-being, is really awesome. I think that's something unique that CSU has offered me for sure.
Awesome. Hey everyone, my name is Matt, and I'm a junior originally from Thompson, North Dakota, which is on the eastern part of the state of North Dakota, about an hour's south drive of the Canadian border. And so when I was searching for colleges, I was really set on becoming a veterinary medicine student, and so I wanted to do my undergraduate and then go on to vet school at the same institution. So I was only applying to universities that had a vet school along with an undergraduate degree program. And so I narrowed it down to CSU and Auburn University in Alabama. And so when I came out to CSU, I had never been to Colorado. I was spending time with my uncle who is retired in Fort Collins. And I wasn't really super excited about going to CSU because being from North Dakota, we didn't have the exposure to CSU. It wasn't as big name as an institution as Auburn was. So I was really hesitant. But when I came to campus, it was like Bailey was saying earlier, it just really felt like home. And being from a small town, it really did feel like a small town, even though it is such a kind of larger university than the universities I'm used to back home. And everyone here was so welcoming, and I came here in the summer, and so while there wasn't a ton of students on campus because they were all gone for summer break, the students that were here were incredibly welcoming, and it just seemed like a family right from the beginning. And when I went down to the University of Auburn, it just didn't really feel the same way. I didn't have the connection. It just didn't feel like where I wanted to be. So I came out to CSU, didn't know a single person out here. The only people I knew were my aunt and uncle, so knew no one on campus. And this is actually part of the reason why I stayed. So I am now switched out of veterinary medicine, and I am double majoring in psychology and sociology, concentrating in criminal justice. So after my first semester of taking classes, I realized that I no longer wanted to go to vet school, and I didn't have the passion for the sciences that I would need for the next 6 to 8 years to be successful in the vet program. And so I switched over to sociology. But at the time, I was really confused about what I wanted to do. I'd wanted to be a veterinarian since I was like 5 years old. So it seemed like my world was just, crashing around me. Everything that I wanted to do wasn't going well. And so when I went and talked to my advisor, I was really worried that they would try to pressure me to stay in the program and kind of just tough it out. But actually the exact opposite happened. My advisor was willing to work with me and actually filled out all the paperwork and submitted it for me to help me switch majors. So they did a lot of the hard work for me and didn't make me run around to different buildings trying to switch majors. And so even though I wasn't a veterinary medicine student anymore, they were still really welcoming and open to helping me out. And so I still have a lot of friends and contacts in the animal science department, even though I'm switched out of it now. I think that rings true for CSU as a whole. Even if you're not in the same department as someone, they're more than willing to help you out with whatever it might be. They want you to be the most successful student and the best person you can be here on campus. And that's been incredible for me and the main reason I've stayed here at CSU.
Wonderful. Thank you both. And now let's go to Corey and Carson.
Perfect. Hey everyone, my name is Corey and I'm a student here at CSU, obviously. I'm a senior this year, originally from Pueblo, Colorado, so that's about 3 hours south of Fort Collins. And so how my CSU story and how I ended up here is I had my heart set on this small liberal arts university in Missouri because a lot of my friends were going there. And so my junior year, I actually had the opportunity to go and tour the campus. And I just didn't really like how it felt, and I was kind of disappointed because I didn't know where to go from there since a lot of my high school friends were going there. So my family was like, well, let's consider some universities in Colorado. So I went and toured CU, University of Colorado, and CSU, and I toured them both in the same day. So it was kind of overwhelming. But at the end of the day, I just had a better feeling about CSU. I ended up applying to both of them, and then I was able to come back for a visit day at CSU, and I just knew that this was the place for me. And one of the reasons that I really felt that way is because I'm a first-generation student like Caleb, and so what that means is that no one in our family has attended, or no one in our immediate family, I guess, has obtained a 4-year degree. And so I really loved CSU because I felt like it could offer not only a lot to me, but to my family as well, because it was their first experience coming to college, like coming to college games or coming to homecoming or just being on a campus in general, because we'd never really had that before. So when I came here, I knew that it could not only support me, but my family as well. And then my first semester I was here, I was like, yeah, this is cool, but I was so homesick. It was really, really hard for me. And I actually called my mom like 2 weeks after classes had started, and I was like, hey, you need to come pick me up, like I'm out, I'm not going to finish this. And she was like, you need to wait until winter break, and then we'll revisit the situation and see what happens if you want to transfer, anything like that. And I was like, okay, fair enough. So I waited until winter break, and she asked me, she was like, what's the deal, are we transferring? And I was like, I think I'm going to stick it out until my last year, or excuse me, my this semester. My first year, and so I did. And it was actually that semester when I came back from winter break, I was like, I think I'm going to get involved and kind of see what some of these things are about. And that was literally the best decision I ever made. This university has given me so many opportunities and put me places I could never even fathom that I could have gone before. So that's been so great, and one of the reasons why I've stayed here. And now I'm going to be graduating in May, first of my family, and they are literally so stoked. I'm stoked, and it's just been such an incredible journey and experience here.
All right, that's awesome. Aloha, everybody. My name is Carson. I'm from a small town called Waimea on the Big Island of Hawaii, in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. So I'm definitely from pretty far away. But how I came to CSU, I knew that I wanted to try to go somewhere new, and I grew up in Hawaii my whole life. So I visited Colorado for a couple family vacations, and I just realized that the mountains were really cool and that I wanted to try to go to college here. So I came out and visited CU Boulder as well as CSU when I was, I think, a freshman in high school. That was one of the times we came out to go skiing, and I really was set on Boulder. Boulder was super cool, and I thought it was awesome because it was in the mountains, and I just really liked it. But so through my whole high school career, I was kind of set on that school, and senior year I applied to both CSU and CU, and over spring break my senior year I visited both schools, and I walked around, talked to a bunch of people, and I just felt like the people at CSU were amazing and very friendly, and I also talked to some of the professors that work in the Natural Resources College as well as the Business College. Speaking of which, I'm a business student and a natural resources student, so double majoring. But first I just applied to the business school because I knew that I wanted to have a business background and know how business works. But I also knew that I wanted to play outside. So I talked to this guy, Ethan Billingsley. He's a really cool guy in the Natural Resources College. And just by talking to him, I knew that this place was awesome. And then I walked around campus. People seemed to be happy and smiling, and people were holding the door open for each other. And it was just a very community type feel, and coming from a small town, that was pretty important to me because I didn't want to end up in a place where I didn't feel, I don't know, kind of accepted. So just walking around CSU, I felt happy and stoked and accepted and all those great things. So I ended up coming to CSU, and I just started in the business school, and then I decided what sort of major I wanted to go into the Natural Resources School. And so now I'm double majoring, and my first impression was totally correct. Everyone here is really happy and stoked to see you, and it's it's pretty amazing. I'm also really into adventure sports, and that's pretty much why I want to go into the natural resources field. So I'm really into mountain biking and mountain climbing and trail running and all that good stuff. So the mountains are about 3 miles away, and I just bike there straight from my house. I don't even need to drive anywhere, and have a great time up there all the time. There's this place called Horsetooth Reservoir, which is absolutely spectacular, and so I spend a lot of time up there. So I've just had a great time at CSU, and the community here is really what brought me here and kept me here. And yeah, that's my story.
Wonderful. Thank you all for sharing. So for those of you watching, hopefully you heard something from these 6 students that you thought you could really connect with, or maybe you are having a similar experience. So send us your questions, and we'll try to direct them to those people that you heard from. But our first question, which I would like to just throw out to the group so anyone can answer, a question from Jasmine. She's wondering, how different is college from high school?
College is very different from high school because you kind of make your own rules, and everything that you do is your decision. So it's really important to know kind of where you want to go with, well, you don't have to know exactly where you want to go, but you have a general direction of where you're headed, because that'll help guide you in everything that you do in college.
Yeah, and just to tag on to that, so what Carson means is like kind of making it your own is like you get to make your own schedule, and essentially you're in charge of like your day. So as opposed to being in class like 7 or 8 hours in high school, you're only in class about 2 to 3 hours a day in college, depending on how many credits you're taking. So you're responsible for like studying outside of those hours. They say that for every hour you're in class, you'll have a corresponding 2 to 3 hours outside of class that you'll study. So it's really great because you have a lot of free time, but you also have to make sure that you're utilizing that free time to do studying, and I mean, you know, not just watching Netflix, although we all do it, but just making sure that you're holding yourself accountable for the classes that you're taking.
Something that I've really enjoyed about college, and something that's really emerged to me different from high school, is I've never been so excited to go to class, which is really cool because at CSU, of course, you have a couple of classes, all university core curriculum classes that you'll take that kind of give you that really nice, well-rounded education. That's really important. But the fact that I get to go to class and learn about promoting fashion through all of these different ways and kind of really focusing on something that I love and something that I want to do has been so fun. But then that's also a really good indicator that you're studying your passion and something that you're really going to be excited about after you graduate.
Wonderful. Thank you all. All right, our next question, maybe we can have Matt answer this. So this question came in from 2 different people, Jasmine and Kimberly, and they are wondering how hard is it to adapt to a new environment when you're coming from out of state?
Right. It can be a little bit challenging, especially for me. I graduated with 33 students in my high school class, so a lot smaller of an institution than what CSU is. I think the biggest thing is to just understand that when you first come to campus for your first couple of weeks, you are going to meet a ton of new people and just be open to that experience. We have a great program here called Ram Welcome, so it's the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday before classes start. And that's a great way to meet a lot of different people. There's a ton of great programs that happen after you move in. There's a concert, there's a carnival, there's convocation where our university president, Dr. Tony Frank, will come out and speak to the new incoming students and really get you fired up for the upcoming school year, and just be open to meeting new people there. And then also when you start classes, being open to meet people, because you're definitely not the only one who's coming from, whether it's out of state or outside of Fort Collins. A lot of different people are wanting to make new friends. And the biggest piece of advice that I can give is when you're living in the residence halls, try to get to know and hang out with those people as much as possible. Some of my best friends at the university are people I lived with my first year on campus in the residence halls. I still hang out with them, correspond with them all the time. When you first come to campus, just be open to the experience, and you're going to meet a ton of new people. So it might be a little scary at first, but there's definitely things to do here on campus that will make that adjustment seem almost like no problem.
Thanks, Matt. And I would just echo Matt. I was an out-of-state student as well, and this is my 7th year now living here in Fort Collins. So I definitely moved away from home, but I found a new home here, and that's why I've chosen to stay here even beyond graduation. So a wonderful community here to support you all, regardless of where you're coming from. All right, next question is for anyone to answer, feel free, but are there specific residence halls for specific majors?
Yes, there are. I was in the Live Green community, which is now, I believe it's the call it or the natural resources community. So it's pretty much the same thing, but I actually got to go on some field trips and work with this guy, that same guy that I talked to when I first came to visit CSU, Ethan Billingsley, and he took us up and did some field trips in the mountains, taught us about mountain ecology, which is completely different from Hawaii ecology, so I thought that was really interesting. And we even went on a trip to this place called Salida, Colorado, during one of the spring breaks, and we did some trail restoration there. We met with the city council planners there and learned how they're making their city more sustainable as well. So there's different living learning communities as well as key communities for all sorts of different interests. So all that information can be accessed on the Housing and Dining website, which is a really cool place to go and check out. So if you're interested in that, I definitely say go for it, because I am so happy I did. I got to hang out with all these people that were just as interested in the subject as me, and it really bonded us as a hall. So definitely check that out.
Wonderful. Thanks, Carson. He's exactly right. So we do have some residence halls that are for specific majors and others that are just for people who are interested in the same thing. So we have a global village floor where you can live side by side with American and international students. We also have a leadership floor if you're interested in leadership. So there's a lot of them to offer, and so I would just suggest, like Carson said again, going to the housing website, which is housing.colostate.edu, and you can get the full list of all of the different housing options for you. All right, so our next question, let's have Danny take this one. And she's, the question is asking, what are classes like compared to high school classes? How do they differ? Can you kind of talk a little bit more about that, Danny?
Yeah, so I always tell people Obviously, the curriculum is going to be harder, but like when you were in first grade, you thought sixth grade was going to be really hard, and then sixth grade it actually wasn't that hard. So it's kind of the same thing. Like when you're in high school, college seems really hard, but then you get to college and you handle it just fine. So curriculum stuff is not that different. It's just how you study really is the hardest part to adjust to. Like Corey said, you're going to be spending maybe 2 to 3 hours in class, whereas in high school, I would oftentimes finish my homework in class, and then I would go home and I wouldn't even have homework to do. That's very different in college. So now I pretty much spend the same amount of time that I did in high school doing actual schoolwork, school-related stuff, but I'm doing it more on my own now. So what that, like a day would look like for me, I would go to class for an hour, and then I'd have like a 2-hour break, and I would do homework during then, and then maybe I'd go to class again for an hour, then I'd go to work for a couple hours, and then I would do homework, and then I would have practice or something like that. So those like little breaks that you have, take advantage of them, do homework during them. Another thing that really helped me is like being specific with my planning. So I'd specifically say I'm going to do note cards for organic chemistry for 30 minutes. And then for 15 minutes, I'm going to do vocabulary for history. So being specific with that kind of stuff, just so I don't waste any time in between things, that's really helpful as well. So that's kind of the difference, is just the time management piece.
Thanks, Danny. All right, so with classes, can one of you just touch on maybe how classes would differ from your sophomore year of college to your senior year, and if they do look different, how do they look different?
I can talk about that again.
Oh,
Sarah, go ahead. You're a senior.
okay. Yeah, I mean, since I'm a senior, it's been interesting seeing the transition from first year to senior year. Although I will tell you, and I think this is probably true for most of the majors at CSU, is I jumped right into my major classes as soon as I came on campus. My first semester, I had 2 classes related to design and merchandising, which were really exciting. But of course, they do do a really good job of making sure that each class that you take is a stepping stone for your next classes, for your next semester. So making sure that you're always staying on track and keeping track of all the information that you have, which is really nice. And then also, the professors are really great about kind of guiding you through that and making sure that you're reviewing that course information every year, so that by the end of your college career, you're taking your capstones, you're taking these big classes, you might have big labs that can be kind of intense, but it's really cool to be using all of that information that you've learned throughout your whole time at CSU and seeing what you can really make of it in some of those big projects your last year.
Yeah, and even just as someone, I mean, I am a sophomore, haven't gotten to the step of being a senior yet, but I'm currently taking one course. It's like a 100 level, and it's one of those larger lectures that you hear about. There's like 250 people in that class. But I'm also in a 300 level course that's focused within my major, and it has 24 people in there. And so the transition is really fluid. And so in the same semester, I'm taking those different kinds of courses, and I will be next semester as well. And so during my sophomore year, it's been a really nice, easy transition toward junior year. Next year, it'll just be those smaller classes with fewer people and more discussion.
Great. Thanks, Sarah and Caleb. All right, we have some questions about the application, so I will just answer those really quickly. Nick is wondering, what is the fall 2015 deadline? And so if you are looking to be a first-year student for next fall, we have several different deadlines that you can follow. The first one is December 1st, which is our early action deadline. And the next deadline would be February 1st. That is our regular decision deadline. So someone else was asking, if you apply early, do you have a higher chance of getting into CSU? And the answer would be no. These deadlines are just there for you. They're supposed to help you with the application process, but we are a little bit flexible. So if you apply early, you do have some advantages in that once you apply, you can start looking at scholarships and financial aid. You can start looking at the housing application. So you can kind of get going on some other things. But if you're undecided about CSU and you are doing a lot of applications, feel free to take your time, and we just ask that you apply by May 1st. May 1st is the final day that we will be accepting applications, but keep that in mind. You have a December 1st deadline, a February 1st deadline, and then May 1st. So there's several different ones. It's all up to you. We will definitely be reading your application regardless of when you apply, and we want all of you to apply. So just do what is best for you. All right, next question is coming in from Martha, and she is saying, I've heard there are mentor groups for first-year students on campus. Is this true? And maybe some of you can talk about if you've been involved in a mentor group or if you had some mentors in your first year here at CSU.
That's a great question. I can definitely talk about that. So my first year, I was in the dog lovers group because I really missed my dogs at home. I have 3 little Shih Tzus, and so I was like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to see my puppies. So I really wanted a place where I could kind of connect and be around people who love dogs. And so it was really great, and it was a lot of fun. And I met a lot of people that way. Actually, 2 of the people who were in that group ended up being admissions ambassadors with me, which was really awesome. And then the staff advisor is what I'm trying to say of that group was Jody Donovan, and she's the Dean of Students here at CSU. And so at the time I didn't know she was the Dean of Students. I just got to know her on a personal level and got to know her pit bull who's named Chloe, and so it was really cool. And then throughout my college career here at CSU, I've run into her various times, and she's remembered me by name. She's called me Corey, which has been really cool because she's in our administration, and like I said, she's a dean of students, so she deals a lot with higher ups, I guess I want to say. So it's really awesome that she was in the student body getting to know me personally, and it's really great that I have that connection with her, and it's helped me a lot in my time here. Have anything to add?
Okay, great.
Wonderful. Thanks, Corey. So yes, we do have a lot of first-year groups that you can join. There are all different kinds based upon subject, so dog lovers, there's a book lovers, coffee shop, outdoor, those sorts of things, but we highly recommend that you get involved in a club or organization, even if it's not specifically a first-year mentoring group, and that way you're just meeting people with a similar interest to you and finding that group of friends here on campus. So we have over 500 student clubs that you can choose from, tons of things to get involved in. So when you're here on campus or when you're here for orientation before you move onto campus, we'll definitely get you set up with all of those. All right, the next question is coming from Gabe, and Gabe says he's an out-of-state student, and being an out-of-state student coming to CSU can be really financially challenging. So besides the people and the atmosphere, why is CSU worth it as an out-of-state student? And I just want to quickly highlight academics. We have wonderful professors and majors. The classroom experience that you would have here at CSU is definitely top-notch. We highly value research, and we also highly value experiential learning. So not only are you reading and taking tests, but we really want you to be doing something, getting your hands dirty, having an internship, going abroad, doing a study abroad program, so that you can really be learning in a lot of different ways. So I would just ask admission ambassadors if you could give an example of why you think the academics here at CSU are wonderful, and maybe some of the experiential learning and hands-on experience that you've had.
Cool, yeah, so we'll go first. I'm actually doing, I'm in a class that has a great experiential learning kind of opportunity built into the course right now, and I'm just so pumped about it. So I'm in the thick of it. But basically, I'm in a class called Product Development. It's required to graduate, and 2 days a week we're in lecture, like Bailey said, very traditional note-taking, presentations, sometimes some guest speakers. But then one day, out of that week, we're in a lab, and we're actually teaming up with Pearl Izumi, which is a performance wear company located in kind of the Boulder area. And they specialize in performance wear for men and women triathletes, runners, and cyclists. And every fall, they come to our department specifically with some sort of design problem or some sort of area in their company that they really want to grow. And they look to students to do that whole thing for them. So really, they come with this broad idea and let us run with it, and we take it from the very beginning of just brainstorming ideas all the way to we do a presentation, they take us down to Boulder, we go to the headquarters, and we present a whole line, including market research, including technical packages, all of the little nitty-gritty details. But really the cool thing is that when I'm looking for jobs after I graduate, you know, a lot of times employers will say, oh, you took this class, tell us about it. But I can actually give them a whole portfolio with critiques from professionals in the industry and go, let me show you what I did in product development and how I can translate this to your business. And that's just been so valuable. They're building in resume builders into your curriculum, which is so unique, something that I didn't really see at some of the other schools I looked at, and something that I've 100% valued and loved every year that I've been at CSU.
So I can speak to experiential learning a little bit. In the sign language courses that I get to take here at CSU, it's actually required by the course, but we go out into the deaf community here in Fort Collins and we socialize and we get to know members of that community and we use the language that we're learning. So that's kind of speaking to that experiential learning side of things. I hate saying, or I don't like saying that we are required to go out and do that, because after the first time you do, you just can't stop yourself. So I'll go to movie nights or whatever, or bowling nights. I just went to a silent dinner a couple weeks ago with the deaf community here in Fort Collins, which was a lot of fun. But then Bailey also mentioned our amazing faculty, and that's actually one of the things that really has touched me with my academics here at CSU. I meet with Dr. Ann Gill. She's the Dean of the Liberal Arts College on a relatively regular basis. We started meeting last semester. And in meeting, and I met her at a banquet that I went to for one of the end of the year banquets for one of the courses that I was taking. And we just kind of hit it off, and I started talking to her about what I was interested in doing with my life and going into law, and she said, oh, that's exactly what I did with my life. And so I've actually been meeting with her, and we exchanged books to read, and so it has benefited my education in a way, because she says, hey, read these philosophers and read these legal theorists, and so I've been able to do that and get advice from kind of a mentor standpoint. But not only that, but I'm meeting with the dean of my college, and she's really amazing, and I really love meeting with her. So that's kind of all around my academic experience, I guess.
Great, thanks Sarah and Caleb. Okay, next question is for Danny. Mackenzie is wondering what a biomedical degree is. So if you can explain a little bit about that.
Yeah, so biomedical science is pretty much just like biology, but only human stuff. So biology, you can take like a concentration in like anatomy, or you can take concentration more in like molecular biology, which is the small stuff. Biomedical science is all of that. A lot of what they say to me in my advising appointments is biomedical science is basically a pre-med program or a pre-health program. So all the prerequisites you would need for any sort of pre-health program, whether it's physical therapy school, occupational therapy, you want to be a doctor or a nurse or something like that, all those prerequisites are built into the program. So for me, I want to be a physician's assistant. I want to deliver babies. So this program gives me actually above and beyond physician assistant school requirements in terms of the classes that I need to take and that sort of stuff. Also, the experiential learning is another huge piece to it. Just like the resources that we have for our biomedical science program is pretty incredible here at CSU. There's not very many undergraduate biomedical science programs in the U.S. Most of them are only graduate programs, so I kind of get to take graduate level classes and information that graduate level students are getting, except I'm an undergrad student, so it's pretty incredible.
Thanks, Danny. Okay, the next question is from Paul, and Paul is wondering if there are opportunities for tutoring if you're struggling in a class and need some extra help. So Matt, would you take that question?
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely have that. And one of the great resources that we have here is the TILT building. So TILT stands for the Institute of Learning and Teaching. And basically, it's just a mentoring program and tutoring for students in whatever class you might be struggling with. I actually went through and got tutoring. It's totally free for students. I did it my first year on campus. I was taking Life 102, which is kind of an intro-level biology class. And the student that I took it with had taken it the semester before and had got an A in the class. so they know what it was like to take notes in that class. They'd actually taken it with my same professor, so that was really cool. They can kind of just work with you whether you're struggling on a topic. They can present it to you in a way you probably never thought about, and hopefully make it click a little bit more than it might be. They're also a good resource to talk about what are going to be asked on quizzes or tests, what the professor looks for if you have to do an essay or things like that. And it doesn't just limit itself to the sciences. We have tutoring almost across the board for a lot of the first year classes that you might be taking, you might be struggling with. So we definitely have tutoring. And one thing that I think is great is it's totally free.
One thing I would add to that too is I'm a third-year student and I still go to Tilt every night to do my homework. So Tilt is a good resource like all 4 years that you're here. If you are taking a class that you isn't offered at Tilt but you need a tutor for it, Tilt is still a good resource to go to find a private tutor. I found free private tutoring from Tilt. I found pretty low cost private tutoring from Tilt too. So Tilt goes just beyond your first year as well. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, again, CSU wants you to be successful, and so if you're ever struggling, don't be afraid to ask for help, and there's guaranteed to be someone, maybe in your classes, a faculty member, professor, or that free tutoring to help you out here. Okay, next question is from Lucas, and Lucas is wondering, how common is it to study abroad? So I know some of you have had different abroad experiences, but Carson, you are preparing to go abroad in the spring, so can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I can. So I'm going to New Zealand next semester. I actually just got my acceptance letter yesterday.
Yeah.
So I'm going to this town called Dunedin on the South Island of New Zealand, and it's really cool because surrounding this town is loaded with extreme sports such as skydiving, snowboarding, surfing, which I need to get back in the water, and let's see, all these other things. So that's going to be really cool. I'm going to make some really awesome connections out there in New Zealand. And one of my other friends is studying abroad in, where is it? I think it's Thailand. Yeah, Thailand next semester. So she's going to have a great time out there. I know a lot of people that have done it. With certain majors, it's a little bit harder depending on your course load. But if you work it in early, it's very easy to figure it out. With me, I'm double majoring, which means I'll have to take a little bit more classes, or a few more classes than if I was just taking one single major, but I'm still only graduating about 1 semester late. I didn't really come in with any credits when I came into college, so it's still really good, and I'm studying abroad, so it's definitely possible. And going abroad next semester will be roughly the same cost as it is for me to study on campus, and my scholarship will work for that as well, because coming from Hawaii, I have out of state, so I do have a scholarship, and that'll work for studying abroad. So it's definitely easy to study abroad, and the study abroad office is stellar. So if you want to do that, I say go for it.
Great. And with studying abroad, we also have a lot of opportunities for you to go abroad for a shorter period of time. If you can't commit a semester, you can go over the summer, you can go for 2 weeks, you can maybe go with a class, or with an alternative spring break program or alternative break program, which Corey has traveled to Africa, I know. So Corey, can you touch a little bit about that and how it's maybe similar or different to studying abroad?
For sure. So I went to Africa my sophomore year for 2 weeks with a professor here on campus. He's actually part of he's part of the Warner College of Natural Resources, and he has his own foundation down there. So he takes CSU students every year for 2 weeks during winter break, and so that was a really incredible experience for me because being a science major, I tried to study abroad. It was something I really, really wanted to do, but unfortunately I just couldn't get it in based credit-wise and like the classes that were required for me to graduate. So this was a really great alternative for me because I wanted to go abroad and I wanted to do it with other students. So that was really awesome. And what I loved most about the experience was not only the fact that I got to go to Africa, I mean that's pretty cool, but the people that I went with, because I would have never met them otherwise. I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but I'm an environmental health major, so I tend to stick in a lot of the science buildings. But students I went with were from like Warner College of Natural Resources. There was even an engineering student, and I think someone from the College of Liberal Arts. So it was really great because we all got to go together, and I was able to be engaged in a group from CSU, and we got to represent CSU on an international level, which is pretty sweet. So even though I didn't get to study abroad, I still had an incredible opportunity going abroad and representing CSU, which was awesome. And I'm actually headed to Nicaragua this winter to kind of do the same thing and just do a couple of weeks of service in another country. So I'm really stoked about that.
One other thing you can do is semester at sea, and you can do that during the winter as well. So if you want to take that winter block off, and semester at sea is basically traveling around a certain part of the world on a huge ship, and you take classes while you're out at sea, and then you come into different ports at different places around the world, and you get to explore, see what the culture is like, and then you have to be back in the ship by the time they leave the port. So I have had a couple friends do that, and they say it's amazing. Oh, God.
Yeah, I would definitely say there's tons of opportunities for you to go abroad, and our Education Abroad office is happy to help you make those plans. But also, if you can't find the time in your schedule to go abroad, there's definitely some global experiences that you can have right here on CSU's campus. So lots of opportunities to get that global perspective. The next question is from Michaela, and Michaela is wondering, how do I connect with current students? And actually, once you apply to CSU and once you're admitted, we will invite you to this private kind of group, and it is called Schools App. And it's through Facebook, but it's kind of separate in that it's not directly linked to Facebook. But it's a group of all incoming students that are coming to CSU together. And it's a great place to ask questions. You can maybe meet people that are in the same residence hall as you, meet people that are coming from the same area, answer your final questions, and just really connect with those students that you might have a similar interest with. So once you are admitted, again, look for that invite to the Schools App, and that will connect you with a lot of students. Okay, next question is from Mackenzie, and I'll just throw this out to all the admission ambassadors. If you want to share your favorite or your best way to get around campus.
Okay, so I'm actually really excited about this. I imagine, hopefully, most of you remember those Razor scooters that we had as kids. And they fold up and everything, so I bring my Razor scooter to campus on a relatively regular basis. It's really easy to walk across campus, but there's some days where it's just it's faster to scoot. So we have quite a few people who actually bring their Razor scooter. Well, quite a few. Like, there's a community of us who bring their Razor scooters to campus and scoot around. I always say it's because I'm not as coordinated as the people who longboard or skateboard around campus, so I need the handlebars, which is a true fact about me. But it's nice because it folds up, and so I can take it into class and put it underneath my desk. And so that's probably my most creative and most enjoyable way that I get around campus.
Great. Thanks, Caleb. Biking is also a wonderful way to get across campus. Every day we have about 20,000 bikes on campus from students and faculty and staff. We have bike lanes all across campus as well. So that is a wonderful way to get around. It's quick and easy, and you can park your bike right outside of your residence hall or your classroom or the library. I actually prefer to ride my bike all around town. So if you want to bring a bicycle or if you want to get one once you are here, that's definitely a great way our students get around. Okay, this question is specifically for Sarah. Sarah, Mackenzie is wondering, can you talk about the honors program and talk a little bit about how you might qualify for the honors program?
Yeah, absolutely. I have adored the honors program, and that's one of the communities that I've really connected with here on campus. Again, this campus, there's a lot of students, but there's a lot of little communities that you'll find yourself being involved in and a part of, and honors is definitely a part of that. So the honors website is awesome, and I definitely recommend you go and check that out because it has a little bit more of the specific requirements for applying and getting in. Diane Burton is a great resource for you too. If you have any questions while you're looking on there, please feel free to shoot her an email. She is awesome, and she'll get back to you. She's still sent, I think I get an email from Diane probably every day. So keeping all of us honor students in the loop. There's 2 different tracks that you can take. One of them is track 1, where you take a lot of different seminars that connect you with other honor students, which is really cool. It's almost like kind of like Bailey was talking about, different student organizations where different people from all over campus are coming together with this common interest. And honor students all tend to be pretty smart, and you have these really awesome discussions about these different things going on in the world or different topics that are really engaging. And then it also is really great for getting you even more engaged in some of your departmental classes. And so I have worked really closely with a couple of my professors through the honors program, taking on extra projects, taking on different material in my classes, and really enhancing that experience. And that has been really great, just developing different connections within the department. Again, that when your professor knows your name, that's like the coolest feeling ever. And that's been one of my favorite experiences, honestly. You do a senior thesis. Every honor student does a senior thesis. And I'm currently working on mine. It's very broad, so you can really decide exactly what you want to do. Again, talking about that resume building, finding a project that is really important to you and something that you're going to really enjoy and really help you get a job after you graduate. So I'll be starting a blog focused on sustainable fashion and socially responsible fashion, and hopefully getting responses from that, and then presenting my findings in the spring in an undergraduate research symposium that they put on every spring. So I'm really excited, and I definitely recommend, if you're interested in the honors program, definitely look into it. It'll be a great addition to your academic experience here.
Thanks, Sarah. And so in the middle of that, we want to apologize. We did have a computer issue, and so Corey and Carson are now joining the other rooms, and so we'll have 3 and 3. Just so you know, that's why there's some moving around. So thanks for being flexible with us on that. All right, the next question is coming in regarding CU and CSU. So a lot of students might be looking at both of these schools, and I know some of you ambassadors were deciding between CSU and CU as well. So can you talk about how you decided and maybe a little bit about that decision?
Hello. So our computer died, so that's why I'm over here now. But between CU and CSU, I'd say the best thing you can do is visit both campuses and check it out and get a feel for it. Because there's nothing like actually being there, and that's something that I realized my senior year. It's kind of difficult to really understand what each school is about, because they're both very similar and different in different ways. So I'd say it's really good to go and explore each school for yourself, and also try to look into their programs, and whatever you're interested in, look into the programs that that school has to offer for you, because for me, I knew that I wanted to go into natural resources, but I didn't know exactly what field I wanted to go into, so I went and talked to Ethan in the Natural Resources College, and he really told me about all the different options that we have at CSU, and I just immediately like this natural resources school rocks. So that's kind of what made me decide.
Thanks, Carson. So like Carson said, both CU and CSU are wonderful schools. We differ a little bit in some of the academic programs that we offer. You can look at our size and especially the towns that we're in. We kind of differ a little bit that way, but both are wonderful schools, and we just want you to find your fit, find where you like best and where you think you can be successful in school. So we recommend visiting both campuses, and like Carson, hopefully you find one that you connect with. All right, the next question is coming from John, and John wants to know, what is the reputation of CSU? What are CSU students known for? And so what first comes to my mind is just how active we are in the community, how much we're offering service and giving back, how active we are here in Fort Collins and really across the world. But admission ambassadors, what do you think CSU students are known for?
I think that growing up here in Fort Collins, I've just known, well, first of all, when I was 6 years old, I thought everybody was incredible here. I was like, these are real adults, basically. And now I'm one. How exciting. But I think the biggest thing is just like being really genuine people. People who really aren't just saying stuff to say it. They honestly mean it, and you can trust what they're saying, and they have your back. I think that's what I kind of always thought of CSU and Fort Collins to be, are people who are really saying things that they mean, which I think is really awesome that you can trust people with that, especially when you're in college. Like, I know I stayed here in Fort Collins, but even if you're going out of state, if you're going across the street, like, you need to be at a place where you can really find the support in the family. That's what I think CSU really is. It's a family.
Yeah, and I would just like to echo that with just like we take care of each other. I can't tell you the number of times, like, if I have forgotten, like this place only uses a card and I don't have any I just have cash or something like that, but people behind me have been like, oh, no problem, I'll get that for you, or like opening doors for you or anything like that. Like, people really do take care of you. I've heard of stories of people like paying the parking meter if it's expired or different things like that. So I think that also should be said as well.
Thank you all. And just to echo what they said, not only are CSU students known for being genuine and kind and warm, but I think we're also known as being prepared for the field. So once you graduate, you are prepared for that job. And we know that 70% of our students will secure employment in their field upon graduation, which is wonderful because it means you can graduate and be ready for that job. All right, we're running out of time, and so we'd like to end on one last question. And all admission ambassadors, if you would like to answer this question, how did coming to CSU affect your life in a positive way?
Okay. Bailey, go for it.
Go ahead, Caleb. We'll start with you.
Oh, okay, cool. So I mentioned earlier, for those of you who were here at the beginning of the chat, that didn't want to come to CSU. Had a great experience here because of the attitude that I came in with it. Like Corey mentioned, I also am a first-generation student, and she kind of explained what that is, that it's the first person in your immediate family to attend and finish undergraduate education. And I'd say that the way that it's really affected my life positively is that my entire family has been along for this journey. That it's entirely new to us, and now my younger brother is applying to CSU for this year, and this is the only school that he wants to go to. Because like every time my family comes up here, it's, oh my gosh, you're so we're so happy that you found this place where you can be yourself and that you can build this community around you. And so it really has, through the new experience, it's brought my family a lot closer, which is something really, really cool for me personally. And then not only that, but I'm very, as opposed to maybe how I used to be in high school and even years before, I'm much more comfortable with being who I am here at CSU and being my absolute and most genuine self that I can be. And so just how it's enabled me to be upfront with people and be, hey, this is who I am, and then how that attitude I've taken home and shared that with my family and shared this experience with my family, it's changed my life, it's changed my world completely.
Cool. So I think, like I mentioned, I looked at a lot of different schools. Looking at fashion, I looked at big schools, I looked at fashion institutes, art institutes. I was kind of all over the place. And I came to CSU because of the accepting community. And that kind of spread throughout my academic experience as well. So I really, when I reflect back on my time and what I've done at CSU and how I've done it, I really don't know that I would know my passion for certain if I had gone to a different university, because the professors and the faculty and the staff that I've interacted with have really challenged me to get in touch with what I really want to do. And I think if I had gone to some of those other maybe smaller schools, smaller fashion institutes, where I didn't have as much opportunity to interact with other students, other faculty and staff that had these really wide variety of backgrounds, I wouldn't really know that I do want to go into sustainable fashion and socially responsible fashion. And I've absolutely found my passion in that. And I don't know for certain that I would have been able to find that if I'd gone to a different school, that would have maybe tried to lead me a different direction. The academics and the people here have really allowed me to explore a lot of different things, so that I know when I graduate from CSU, I know exactly what I want to do, but also I know that I can go out and do it because of my experience here.
It's really, yeah, it's hard to add on to that really, but I think that going to CSU has really taught me who I really am, who I aspire to be when I grow up. But I mean, technically we're adults, so it's kind of hard to say that. But I mean, before I came here, I really didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, and I still don't know what I want to do. But I have a great path laid out for me, and it's really taught me a lot about myself. Actually, just coming out here to Colorado State, and it's really, I just have grown as a person tremendously. So I feel like almost everyone can say that, or if not every single person in college. So that's one big thing.
I think for me, one way CSU has really changed my life is coming from North Dakota. There's not a lot of diversity, so coming to CSU really showed me that there are things outside of North Dakota, and getting to interact with a diverse population here on campus and really learning. I've learned just as much from students outside of lecture hall and just one-on-one conversations than I ever have in a lecture hall, and so that's been a great way to do that. And CSU has also really allowed me to find my passion. So I'm really passionate about criminal justice, and CSU has really helped me not only find that passion, but to really work on that passion as an undergraduate. And then it is, like you mentioned earlier, Bailey, really preparing me to go out in the field and being ready to work from day one after graduation.
Yeah, I think mine is, I mean, it's changed my life in a lot of ways, but the biggest thing for me is it's basically over-preparing me for graduate school, which is really cool because I've now figured out my passion and what I really want to do, and feeling like I'm 100% ready to go off and get my dream, which is really cool because that's what college is for. It's to prepare you for what you want to do for the rest of your life, something that hopefully you'll love to do. So I think that's how CSU has definitely changed me. I'm really ready to get on to PA school and change lives and deliver babies.
And then for me, I would have to say just given the opportunities that I never would have dreamed possible for myself, and been able to do things that I would have never thought. Like if you would have asked me if I was a senior in high school and been like, hey, you're going to Africa, I'd have been like, no, I'm not. But just coming here and like having people believe in me and say, yeah, you can do that, and you are worthy and you're valuable enough, and we want you on our team and we want you to be a part of this, and we know that you can make a difference, has been so empowering and so incredible to me. And now I can feel like I can go out and change the world, and I know that's because of my education here at CSU.
Thank you all so much, admission ambassadors, for sharing your CSU stories with us. We really appreciate it. Unfortunately, we're out of time, so just as a reminder, if you submitted a question that was not answered, we will try to answer that to the best of our ability in the next few days. And you can always go back and rewatch this video. It'll be on our website at admissions.colostate.edu. And thank you so much for looking at CSU. We are super excited to see your applications come in the door, and we want to welcome you into our RAM family as future Rams. So please let us know if you have any questions. We're here to help you out. And thanks again for joining us tonight. Have a good night.